Video from my January 3rd, 2016 dive to the Blue Caverns aboard the Magician. The Blue Caverns is a marine protected area, but unlike normal marine protected areas, this one is enhanced. You're not even allowed to drop an anchor, so the entire dive is done via live boat. Blue Caverns is a series of caverns, for lack of a better word, that are about 70 feet. There's one smaller cavern up at about 10 or 15 feet, but we focused on the deeper ones. X and I took this as an opportunity to practice our scootering, hoping we could get out in front of all the other divers by virtue of our DPVs. As you can see, we weren't quite so successful. This is one of the larger of the caverns. Its opening is maybe 10 feet tall, and it goes back maybe 20 or 30 feet. It's quite dark in here. I visited this site over a year ago, and the last time I was here, there were lobster crawling all over these caverns. There's all sorts of little nooks and crannies and cracks and crevices that you can peer into. To my surprise, we really didn't see much in the way of lobster this particular trip. I'm not sure why. I've noticed that in the last 2 weeks or so, the water temperature has dropped noticeably. That's always a cool shot to see a diver silhouetted by the blue glow of outside of the cavern. The viz was okay. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 20-25 feet, there was definitely a lot of particulates in the water. You can see here that the kelp is just gone. The giant kelp has been decimated. When I was here a year and a half or so ago, you couldn't hope to scooter here because the kelp was so thick. Hopefully now that the water temperatures are dropping, the kelp will return. I thought this was kind of a cool shot. We were below this group of divers who were swimming back the direction that we had come. This is a much smaller cavern that we hit on the way back. As you can see, this cavern's opening is 4, maybe 5 feet high. And it actually goes back a bit of a ways, but not nearly as far as the big cavern that you saw earlier in the film. Again, here, no lobster, not much in the way of sea life inside the cavern. There was the usual assortment of blacksmiths and half-moons and sheep's head and whatnot in the area. Beautiful shot from inside the cavern looking out. As you'll see in a second here, as I scooter out of the cavern, this cavern was actually sitting right next to another cavern. This one was a little bit bigger. I'm not sure if this cavern is bigger than the first cavern that we saw earlier. I suspect that it's not. On the last dive of the day, at literally the last minute, X spotted this giant kelpfish. This giant kelpfish was swimming over a rock that you can see to the right, and as soon as it spotted us, it made a beeline for this kelp root here. And though there were no leaves, it planted itself right in the little Y there. You can see that its 2 pectoral fins are literally wedging itself in place. I thought I'd end the video with this kind of cool shot. This is me using the scooter to tackle the ever-dreaded surface swim back to the boat. One of the best applications for a scooter is getting out of having to do that unfortunate task. This was a fun trip. Wish the viz was a little bit better. The crew was fantastic as always.